Hey guys, I hope you are doing great out there. This is Brian Hill, of course, the host of 24 Hour Boss podcast. And I want to first welcome you to our show. If you are not a subscriber, I want to encourage you to subscribe to our show. Of course, we are on Spotify, iTunes, and all the major podcast streaming directories out there. Also, we have a YouTube channel as well now. And that's kind of my reason for adding this little snippet to our very first episode, because a lot has changed since we started this podcast. I started this podcast probably a year and a half ago. Of course, started it with just recording audio only, and that's pretty much the gist of it. I was recording audio only, did a few episodes, and then I got my first guest, which was Roxanne Sedonia, who is a snow cone. She owns a snow cone business. She was my first guest, but again, a lot has changed since we started this podcast, and there's a lot of growth, of course, since our first episode. A lot of change. We've evolved a whole lot. I've went through like two name changes of this podcast, but that's the reason for me kind of adding this little snippet, because of course I'm adding this first episode to YouTube, but also just for someone who may come to our site or to this podcast and listen to this first episode, you'll notice a big difference between the first episode and the very latest episodes that we've uploaded. There's a lot has changed, so that's my reason for just kind of adding this snippet. There's of course been a lot of good. I've learned a whole lot in doing this, which is great, because when you start doing things, a lot of times you just don't know a lot. And not that I thought that I knew a lot, but I think it's just a part of the process where you learn, and through a bunch of mistakes. But I wouldn't take anything back in regards to that. So enjoy this first episode. You'll hear, if you listen to the latest uploads and compared to this first one, you'll hear even a lot of growth, I'm sure, from this very first episode. But I want to say I do appreciate all of our listeners and all of those who tune in. Please subscribe to our YouTube page. You can find it at 24 Hour Boss. If you search on YouTube, the @ symbol with 24HR Boss, you'll be able to find our YouTube page. Please support us, subscribe, share us with those who may be interested. Appreciate it. It does help us and help others find our channel and find our podcast. So I want to say appreciate you listening. Thank you for tuning in, and enjoy this first episode of our podcast. Take care, and God bless. Appreciate your support. 24 Hour Boss Podcast, episode 001. Today is our very first episode, and we are excited because today we get to introduce 24 Hour Boss to the world. Hello, and welcome to the 24 Hour Boss Jumpstart Podcast. This is the show where we inspire individuals with knowledge and give them the tools they need to help them start an online business or side hustle. You ready to dive into it? Let's talk about it. We hope you're doing good on today. I'm Brian Hill of 24 Hour Boss, and like I said, this is our very first episode, and we're excited because we get to share 24 Hour Boss with the world on today. And this is, I guess you could say, a long time coming. And so it's a great thing. So we just want to provide some information in regard to 24 Hour Boss on this episode on today. So for this show agenda today, We'll talk about a little bit about my background and my experiences, which leads us to the next category or the next note of the creation of 24 Hour Boss. I also have a note that I wrote in 2011 that describes this very business. Of course, at the time, I didn't know much of how I would create this business, but I wrote this note that describes this very business to a T. So we'll read that a little later in this show, in this episode. We'll also talk about 24 Hour Boss, the name or what it means, and the 24 Hour Boss mission. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's go ahead and jump into this. All right. So in regard to my background, so I come from a background, of course, I'm a tech head. I'm an IT, but for about 17 years, I assisted at my father's church. I worked in with the audio and the sound. Like I said, I did this for 17 years. Also a minister, by the way, but it's a very small church, not a big church, but still, small church still have to operate as big churches. But we had a little soundboard or a little portable PA system that we worked with, or I worked with. And so I did that for 17 years. This was back in 2001, I guess you could say. In 2003, there at our church, they got a portable recording, I guess you could say, mixer. And this thing was pretty high tech at the time. And so we had this recorder where we could record our services and use these to create CDs for our church radio broadcasts, which is what we eventually got at our church. And this was pretty cool because I had the opportunity to learn some recording, learn some editing, and it was pretty fun. So I was able to produce and record these broadcasts and of course take them to the radio station. So it was pretty fun to learn all of that. And like I said, I did that from 2001 to 2003. And in 2003, or I would say maybe a little bit before that, I started to think and say, this is pretty cool to do this recording. Maybe I can record events and provide it to people and have them to, maybe pay for the services. I was just thinking to record the audio itself. And so I presented that idea to some family members, in particular my wife and at the time my mother, and they said, "Well, people don't want to listen to their events. They want to see their events. So you may want to videotape them." And then that's when it kind of dawned on me, wow, okay, that's a good idea. And so I decided that I would start doing video recording of events, and so I started my own video production company. And so I started recording weddings. And so I did this for about 10 years, recording weddings. And that was pretty cool. That was pretty amazing. I learned quite a bit. I learned about recording, about editing, and producing DVDs. And I did the whole nine. And it was very fun. Like I said, I learned quite a bit recording and editing and using all this software to create these nice videos for people. And it was something that I enjoyed. I really liked it a lot. And like I said, I did this for 10 years. And after about 10 years, or at the close of this venture, I started to want to do more with video. And I wanted to try to incorporate video to help businesses market themselves. And so at the time, I couldn't figure out what that was or how I would do this, but I really wanted to try to do this some kind of way. And so I wanted to incorporate video to help businesses. But like I said, at the time, I couldn't figure it out. And so I began to look into online marketing. And also at this time, of course, I kind of started getting burnt out doing weddings because it was just, I don't know, I guess after 10 years, I just kind of felt I wanted to do something else with video. And so I began to look into online marketing and just doing some research on it and just reading about it. And so, like I said, at this time, I still couldn't figure out what I would do. But then, of course, I would start reading books on online marketing. I watched plenty of videos. I listened to a lot of podcasts. I even took some classes in regard to business and consulting and all of these things. And so at this time, of course, I'm just looking into all of these things and still can't figure out, okay, what can I do to help businesses? And, at this time, of course, technology is increasing and it's changing. And my love for these type of things starts to increase as well. And so I'm trying to figure out what can I do to help businesses with marketing, with online marketing, with video. How can I put this all together to help these businesses? And of course, like I said, there's so many things out there, but I still couldn't figure out what it was I wanted to do. Now, this is around the time of 2011, 2010, and like I said, I did the video production for about 10 years. So that was about the start of 2003 to 2012, I would say that I did that. And so in 2011, I wrote this note on October 11, 2011, in regard to an idea of trying to help businesses. And so I'm going to read this note that I wrote in 2011. So this note, it states, to provide helpful marketing solutions and survival strategies for people wanting to start a business, along with providing informative business expertise. Provide surveys and video surveys from business professionals stating how they started their business, experiences, struggles, successes, marketing strategies, legal structure, what they are doing to stay in business. In exchange for business professional information, I will provide them a discounted video audio production service to advertise their own business or their own site and my site. So this was a note that I wrote in 2011. And of course, you'll see as we look at 24-Hour Boss, this is the exact idea of 24-Hour Boss. So we'll just go further here. So like I said, I still couldn't figure out at the time how and what I wanted to do with this business or how I would start this business, but I still was researching online marketing, still trying to, do more in regard to learning and increasing my knowledge. And so my passion for all of these things increased. But even with that, and even with me learning, I still lacked a lot of confidence. I was afraid to take the next step. I procrastinated. I kept putting this idea, this venture off and just, I'll do it eventually. But, time and time, it just went on. And so it wasn't until here recently, maybe within the last couple of years or so, where I listened to a few podcasts that really inspired me and really resonated with me in regard to what I could do to help businesses or help individuals in particular. And so I listened to Pat Flynn, and he definitely breaks down online marketing and all of that. Starting a podcast, he breaks it down step by step how to start a podcast. So I listened to him, which was very inspiring. I listened to Nick Loper, who has Side Hustle Nation. He kind of pretty much started the same thing or started the same way in regards to starting a side hustle, started his podcast. And of course, now his podcast is really has blown up, if you could say. And even a Social Media Examiner, I listened to a few podcasts of theirs in regard to online marketing and all of that. And so all of these things within the last couple of years just really inspired me. And it finally resonated that, hey, you know what? I think I can start a business helping people with online marketing. And so after listening to all those podcasts and after years of putting this off, after about 10 years of putting this off, I decided to start this business, 24-Hour Boss. And that was in November 2019, I made it official. And so in this business of 24-Hour Boss, I will combine all my skills and talents that I learned through video and web and audio, all of the editing techniques, all of those things to help individuals start their own business or side hustle. This is precisely the same idea that I had or that I wrote down in that note of October of 2011. But like I said, at the time, I didn't know
how I would do that. And so this is what 24 Hour Boss is about. So what does 24 Hour Boss, the name, what does it mean? So basically 24 Hour Boss just means online boss. If you think about a website runs 24 hours a day. So if a website runs 24 hours a day, and if you got a website, that would make you an online boss. So that's basically how I came up with the idea or the name of 24 Hour Boss. I'm glad that it was actually available when I searched for it. And when I found it, I did some name search. I had a few names that I wanted to choose, and that one was like the top name that I had in regard to all the names that I wanted to choose, and it was available. So I said, you know what, that's the name that I'm going to go with. And so here we are, so I decided to start 24 Hour Boss. And, I'm glad I did, because like I said, from 2011 to now, when I look at this, it's like, this is the exact thing that I wanted to do. And so this is what 24 Hour Boss means. That's what it's about. So 24 Hour Boss, our mission, basically, like I said, for me, I struggled with fear, and like I said, I procrastinated. I did all of these things, putting all of this off, until finally getting to this point is like, it's like a breath of fresh air, because like I said, for me, I struggled with a lot of things. I kept putting things off, and that's what this business is about. And that's what I'm trying to help people to see and to do, that, hey, you know what, you can start a online business. You can start a business. And sometimes that's the hardest thing. But I had those feelings of feeling like, I'm not good enough, or feeling like online marketing is a hard task. I've had those feelings. I have those struggles too, but you just got to press through and go for it. And that's what I did. And so this is what 24 Hour Boss is all about. I want to help inspire people. If I can do this, so can you. And so this is what this site is going to be about, just providing all kinds of information about online marketing and helping you to get if you want to say, the nerves or the confidence to start your own business, start your own online business or business itself, because they all go hand in hand. So our mission basically is to give people the knowledge and the necessary business skills to help them start an online business or side hustle. And we do this by sharing best business practices, helpful tools and applications you can use, and tips we've learned through our own experiences. So our site will be full of knowledge, and it'll be full of information to help you. This site is also unique because I'm also going to have a podcast, which is what you're listening to now, a podcast on this site. And so this podcast is just to help give you some added inspiration. It's the Jumpstart podcast. It's to help you to be inspired. And so I wanted to share also some advice of professionals and experts in business as well. So we'll also have guests that'll come on to the podcast to provide their expertise, to provide their successes, even their failures, of how they overcome their failures in business. So this is what this site is going to be about. This is the information that we're going to provide. And so we hope that you will definitely tune in to our site, to our show, to our podcast, because we want to inspire you, help you learn, and help you start your own side hustle. So for those that are interested in online marketing, or if you want to start an online business or a side hustle, or if you already have a business, this is the show and the site for you. So we encourage you to tune in, share our site with your friends or those you know in business. Visit our site at 24hourboss.com. That's 24HRBOSS.com. Also, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at 24hourboss. And so we just want to thank you for tuning in to our very first episode, and we hope to see you on our next episodes. Thanks for visiting the 24 Hour Boss Jumpstart podcast. Be sure to visit our site at www.24hrboss.com to be inspired, to learn, and start a side hustle.